Living in Costa Rica, you're going to discover that some things are far more expensive than what you may have imagined. We asked a handful of residents of varying backgrounds what items they find excessively expensive in Costa Rica to help prepare you. If you love Costa Rica or want to keep learning about this amazing country, click the subscribe button and be sure to look for the app InCostaRica in your app store.
I would say food is really expensive, right? Coming from the Caribbean as well, food is very expensive in my country. And I would think here it's a little cheaper, but it's still very expensive, especially for standard of living that you have. Like if your salary is a certain amount, right? And you're budgeting, okay, food for this aspect, it's still very expensive. So like food, I would say, not fruits and vegetables. Fruits and vegetables are very inexpensive, but like food on a whole, like beans, rice, etc., things like that are expensive. And also, what else? That's about it. I would say food.
Like things that are imported for groceries, like pretzels, peanut butter, kids' clothes, I cannot find anywhere. Gas was way more than I thought it would be. But groceries, yeah, I'm not finding an easy time getting groceries unless I just do the fruit stands all the time, which is what we've been doing.
Cars are the only thing that I have a complaint about, because whatever vehicle you're going to buy in the United States or Canada, to get the exact same vehicle in Costa Rica is going to cost you 40 to 50% more because of the import fee. Having said that, once you've done that, then there's no longer any pain, because when you go to sell the car, you also get 40 to 50% more than you would get in the United States or Canada, so it rolls over. The only exception to that is a new law passed by the Costa Rica government to prompt people to use electronic vehicles, and there's no import fees on those. So that's why we're going solar with everything we're doing here.
I mean, it is just that's a very subjective question, because it's compared to another country. So the only country I can compare it to is Germany, because I live there or used to live there. Food is extremely expensive, and taxes, and you don't see it, like you don't see better streets, you don't see less violence. You know, like you pay, and you get nothing in return.
Ooh, let's see. Boy. Excessively expensive. Well, just as a rule, I know labor is inexpensive, and some high quality goods are really over expensive because they're imported. And so just that.
Expensive cars. Cars are the most expensive here.
I know gas is kind of relatively expensive if you compare it to the States, for instance, not compared to Europe, where I'm from. And then just in general, I think a lot of it's expensive to be a business here, I think, in general. Salaries and stuff, that's quite expensive relatively.
Almost everything. It's a very expensive country. I would say I was surprised how expensive groceries are. As a single person, you spend like $300 a month on groceries, and somehow you think that you'd spend less, but the groceries are very comparable, if not more expensive than the United States, and that's something that I still am not used to.
Vehicles. Any kind of 4x4 vehicle is crazy. Like if you bought like a sedan Corolla, something like that, I mean, you can get away for paying, like pretty cheap. But if you want anything kind of all-wheel, four-wheel drive, pretty darn expensive, I'm not going to lie. Even golf carts, like, because I own a golf cart business, but to buy the golf carts, I never imagined I'd be spending X amount of dollars on golf carts, for gosh sake. And then as far as some more North American household items like toiletries, shaving blade, shaving cream, and then peanut butter. That's my favorite thing. But you're paying, I think it's like 4,000 or 5,000 colones for a small jar down here, which is about $8, $9. And there's other things, but again, there's other things that sort of balance it out. Fruit and vegetables and the local fish, they all balance out.
To be expensive, I think groceries, food is pretty expensive. Actually, when I went to Switzerland, I think the prices are similar at the supermarkets than they are here. So, and here is very different. There's a very different salary than in Switzerland. So it doesn't really add up.
Well, I sold my car in Belgium, and my car was about 8 years old, and I got 5,000 euro or dollar for it. And with this amount of money, I was able to buy a car here that was already 17 years old. So cars are expensive, and I suppose multimedia as well.
Both. Restaurants can be quite expensive, and definitely some stuff in the grocery stores. 100% can be, maybe not necessarily the like the Tico brands, but the more American brands and stuff I found to be quite excruciatingly expensive.
Anything imported. Like, I know most people probably aren't going to be buying tahini, for example, but it's like $12, for example. So anything that's imported is obviously going to be expensive, but you should be buying local anyway. So do that instead.
Well, electronic items are really, really expensive here because of the import taxes. So any electronic items and also cosmetics can be very surprising. The one thing that is a bit of was very frustrating is sunblock. It's probably a cheap sunblock is $15. That's the entry level price. And as someone who has white skin and burns really easily, that's something that's really expensive. So any cosmetics and electronics, definitely.
Yeah, I was just going through the grocery store yesterday, and all the imported goods, as you would think, are expensive, such as, say, Hershey Kisses here are at least twice the price. So our kids like them, and we're like, let's find an alternative chocolate that's sourced a little bit more locally. Ice cream, I thought, was a little bit expensive here, more so than in Vermont. And other than that, we kind of avoid the expensive products. We just choose the products that are manufactured closer to Costa Rica, so we stay more within our budget.
Well, sunflower seeds and stuff in the supermarkets, but sunflower seeds usually blew my mind when I saw the price here. But actually, yeah, a few stuff in the supermarket that I guess are imported.
So, Costa Rica is expensive, right? But that's not to say that it's one-dimensional in that respect. So, what is expensive here? I would say anything related to a car is usually expensive. Buying a car, gas for a car, paying for repairs. I think it's really smart here to get a car that other people have. That's a really popular car in Costa Rica, so that those types of expenses can be minimized, especially if you need repairs. Food's expensive here. It's pretty comparable to where I come from. So just paying for food in the market, paying for food at a restaurant, that's one of the surprising things, unless you go to a soda, which is always a great choice. What would be another thing that's expensive? Access to public lands would be an expense that a lot of people might not think about if they come from a country like the States, where you don't necessarily have to pay for trail access in a big way. So,
okay.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about food and you compare it, if you go out looking to find your favorite U.S. food, or you're going to try to find your favorite name brand, you're going to pay a lot more for it. So the prices probably are comparable or even higher sometimes in New York. It's expensive to go to Altamercado, buy Hot Pockets, a bone-in beef tenderloin, and the specific sauces that you want.
Peanut butter. Oh my God, it's like gold. I am such a peanut butter fanatic, and I have withdrawals now because a $1 thing of peanut butter in the United States is literally $6 here. And I don't understand it because they have peanuts, but it's like, it's a thing. And it stresses me out because I really want to eat peanut butter, but I can't afford it.
Check out the full playlist as we ask residents some of the most common questions about Costa Rica. In the top right corner, there's a live poll to share your opinion with everyone. Don't forget to subscribe and try the InCostaRica app.